country.
Listen, where I want to be. Okay. I want to be right with you. You look beautiful.
Thank you. I've been walking. I feel like I've walked about 30,000 steps today.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, Tameka, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you are out of the country, living your best, beautiful life. So thank you for coming and joining us today. I'm so excited to have you.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So welcome to an all new episode of Undunn with Ashley Dunn. Today we are joined by the beautiful legend, living legend she is. She's an author, she's an entrepreneur, she's a stylist, she's a designer, she's a philanthropist, she's a boss mom, and she's a queen. We are joined today by the beautiful Miss Tameka Foster Raymond. I'm so excited. So excited to see you. Listen, Tameka, welcome to the show. We met when you were a guest on The Real, and I was a producer there. And I was doing your segment on the show, and we connected. And I was like, let me call Tameka and see if she wanted to come on the show. And she was like, no, without hesitation, yes.
Of course, let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it. Yes. And I'm so sorry we can't do it in person. Maybe we'll do another one in person one day.
Oh no, we're definitely gonna for sure do it in person when you get back.
I would love.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, how are you? How have you been? How's everything going for you right now?
I cannot complain. Everything has been well. I'm on vacation. I had a few days open before the boys start school. Mm-hmm. So I said, they just got off of vacation. And I said, I'm going to squeeze in about 4 days where I can go to do some things that I want to do for myself. Self-care is very, very important in my book.
Listen, self-care is very important. And I need all this. I think women, especially moms, I'm not a mom, but I think women, just moms, women in general need to tap into self-care. Okay. Because we have to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's important. We have to, because we're trying to care for other people and be present for our kids and our jobs and our careers and in school and all kinds of things that women are trying to do. And I think it's people in general. Everybody needs to take time out and take a beat and say, you know what? I'm going to get away, or I'm going to do something for myself to, kind of keep your sanity. You have to.
Right. Definitely. Well, let's dive right in. So we're celebrating 50 years of hip hop this year. And I feel like you were an early pioneer of like the style and the fashion that we saw. You've styled some heavy hitters, Jay-Z, Lauryn Hill, the list goes on, Subway. This little game we play, I love that song, love that. And you did that video. Listen, how did you get into styling? Was this something that...
When I first moved to LA, I did not know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I had a young child and I needed to take care of my son. Mm-hmm. But I went into the world of video, like trying to be a video vixen. Well, that did not work out very well for me, because I am not the one to be, doing the couch casting thing. I couldn't do it.
Okay.
I didn't like the idea of acting like I was into these artists and then having them like kiss on me for video. It was acting, but it was a little too real for me. So I didn't like it. But I remember one time I was working on an Alexander O'Neal video and I took a break, like when they told us to cut, whatever. And I went to the back and I saw the stylist. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is what I need to be doing, because I am not cut out to be the love interest in the front of the video with the guy rubbing on my leg and stuff. That ain't gonna work. Mm-hmm. So I really had a good conversation with the stylist that was on set. I don't even remember who she is. I would love to, because she is my inspiration. She was one of my inspirations. And then I worked in fashion with like I said, with my grandmother and my Aunt Sadie. My aunt is 99 now. She'll be 100 in February, but I worked at she had a retail boutique when I was growing up. So those were my early influences into style and all that.
And speaking of growing up, you grew up in Oakland. How
Yeah.
much of like your childhood and that experience of growing up in Oakland informed you and prepared you for your journey?
I would like to say that a lot of my upbringing influenced who I am today. I mean, just being sharp and just kind of, not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I always say that. But I think that just growing up in Oakland just gave me a different kind of wherewithal where I kind of keep my head on a swivel. I'm watching my surroundings. I'm not very gullible. I've never been one of those people that would kind of go for the okey doke. So those are things that help shape my personality. Now, as far as style, Oakland had its own style. We were very Black Power, Black Panthers, everything in Oakland. So I have a lot of those influences. And then I went to Berkeley High. So I'm kind of a hippie a little bit. I'm used to always wearing a cutoff short and some Birkenstocks. Like that's a trend now, but that's something I've done since 16, wearing cut off Levi's and finding vintage stuff and wearing it with Birkenstocks. And now that's part of the whole woke wardrobe. That's what everybody's wearing. They go to Coachella and all that. But that's really my style. And then I think I always say I'm kind of like a bougie hippie because I do still love designer labels and stuff, but I'm not a label whore. Like I don't care about what it's called, who's the designer. I'm more into what fits well and what works well with body type on a client or myself.
Right. Definitely. Switching gears a little bit, Tameka, because I feel like so much of your story or that people know of you has been documented in the media, right? And it's been through tragedy.
Yawn.
Yes, yawn. And it's been through tragedy or, loss. And it's been over a decade since the tragic loss of your son, Kile. He was 11 at the time. And you have not wavered in your fight, in your advocacy to keep Kile's name alive. And I admire you for that.
I think far too often, a child will pass and, the family will be there for the funeral and everybody will say, oh, rest in peace. And oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I just think that's not enough for me, because his death was senseless. He wasn't a street dude. He wasn't in the car with the wrong boys. He didn't smoke weed. He wasn't selling drugs. He didn't have a weapon. He didn't fight anybody. He didn't do a lot of these things. This guy was just laying innocently, having a day at the lake with the family and just kind of looking up at the sunshine and laying on a tube, not doing anything. He was very studious and a computer whiz. And it's just when I hear, listen, not to diminish any of the other people who've lost children, but sometimes you'll hear stories and you'll see where like maybe that was somewhat their fate because maybe they were living that life or, you know what I mean? Sometimes you hear stories and you go, okay, well, he was involved in a fight or or he was with the wrong crowd or, they caught him with a weapon or something like that. I think my fight for Kile is that he was genuinely innocent. You know what I'm saying? He was genuinely innocent. He was a kid that was sitting on his iPad and, he volunteered to get on the tube with another little girl and just trying to do something somewhat adventurous, laying on the inner tube and being pulled. And a jet ski came along and hit him. Like that's as innocent and as a freak accident as they come. And that doesn't sit well with my spirit. I can't just let that rest. The lake where it happened is marked with so many tragedies, over 700 deaths right now at that lake and countless more of injuries. People have lost life and limb out on this lake. And I think that they're very careless and I don't think they're putting the proper resources into making sure that the lake is safe. and that the lake has proper zoning, because my son should have never been on a tube, an inner tube, laying, looking at the sunlight, not doing anything, not flapping his arms, not swimming, laying on an inner tube peacefully. And someone with a jet ski should not have been in the same zone to come and run into my son. So that tells me that the lake's regulations and their rules are not intact. And so for me, I'm fighting for change. I'm not looking to drain the lake. My petition says drain, which I knew would be very provocative. I knew they're saying, hey, drain the lake. That gets everyone's attention. Because had I said, hey, let's hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and let's clean the lake, no one would be interested, and no one cares about doing a cleanup project. You have to say something very, very stringent and serious, and let them know that you're dead ass serious. And I really am. They got to change this. They got to lower the water level some, which means drain a little, lower the water levels, get an excavator, clean it, dig it, bulldoze it, send divers down, find out where the trouble areas are so that you can warn others, and you can have markers on the water that say, hey, that's a danger zone. Do not go over there. That's a sinkhole. Go over there. That's a city under there. There's a racetrack over there. So those things, excuse me for being long-winded right now, but I'm just, I'm on one talking about this, because there are pockets and things that cause a serious undercurrent in that lake, which changes the direction of your swimming, of your boating, and of your tubing. Everything you do on that lake is going to have a problem because it's not built on proper ground or water.
Right. As of today, you have over 6,000. And let's just back up. As you mentioned, you do have a petition. For those that are unaware, you have a petition that you started in May. And as of today, you have over 6,000 signatures on that petition. And I want to find out from you, because not only are you calling for the Lake Lanier in Atlanta to be drained and for it to be restored, there's also a racial component to that lake as well. Where do you stand today with the efforts in getting the petition signed? Has there been any additional talks? Where do you stand today with it?
Well, it's kind of it's a slippery slope with that, because it's like two different issues, right? The whole racial undertone and the fact that it's a burial ground, and so much terrible things have happened at that lake. I was told that when the descendants of Oscarville had to, when they were forced out of their area and forced to leave their homes and their farms and their churches, they were going to cross a bridge, which took them into another county called Forsyth. And they were told that either they had to jump or be hung. Wow. by the guys on the other side, the Klan, I guess I would say. That's a whole nother conversation. It's a whole nother ball of wax. My mission for the petition is really to raise awareness about the dangers of the lake. Now, you do have some other forces that are telling the story of Oscarville and Lake Lanier. I kind of don't want my messaging to be hijacked by focusing on the history of it, because that pisses me off. That's a whole nother conversation. But I really have to stay focused, just because I want to be taken serious, and I want lawmakers to know that I have a legitimate argument. Lawmakers are, Oscarville was gone in 1912. Oh, it had nothing to do with the lake. The lake started in 1956. They're two separate things, but really they're not, because the energy and all the stuff that happened with the descendants, of Oscarville, the ones that were told to jump into the Chattahoochee or jump to the dam or whatever it was, or cross the bridge and be killed. I mean, I heard only 7 survived. So if 270 people jumped over, only 7 survived, that's a big problem. And so you had, and then you had kids that were raised by other families because their parents were it's a bad story. But my issues are legitimate, founded, can be researched. Scientists can tell you that there are structures underneath the water. There's a racetrack underneath the water. There's a church and steeple underneath the water. And anytime you have that much debris and that many articles and items underneath the water, there's no way you're not going to have a terrible undercurrent, because it's just like, if you have a car under there, how water will suck you into the windows, if they're open. So imagine it being buildings and structures underneath. It's really a bad situation. So I'm just hoping that they take the time to make the changes. That's what I really am hoping.
And what can our viewers and folks that'll watch this, what can we do to support you in this mission?
I beg of you to sign the petition. You don't have to make a donation. Change.org automatically asks for a donation. That's, I guess, how they run their platform. But that I need them to know that any donations made to change.org do not benefit the Kile's World Foundation. That's our foundation. Kile's World is independent, and we raise money on our own and pretty much self-funded by me. So change.org, though, sign the petition and share the petition, because the more people we can get to sign and share it, the more that we can make an impact. My goal is to meet with lawmakers, possibly Georgia Power, who they have a lot of hydroelectricity that goes through the lake. It's also a huge source of water in the state of Georgia. I'm not looking to disrupt, our water or power. I don't want to be in the dark holding a lantern trying to fight for this. But I think that they have the resources where they can take it section by section. They can dam certain areas, and they can say, okay, we're going to clean this part of the lake, around this shore. And then we're going to move and we're going to do this part of the lake. We're going to excavate the trees. There are trees growing up out of the lake. That's why when divers go in or swimmers go in, they can't be found. They're lost. They're entangled in trees and all kinds, barbed wire and all kinds of stuff. One man jumped in a week ago and he got electrocuted. How is that possible? The lake, and they tell me the lake is clean. The lake is safe. That doesn't sound like a safe or clean lake to me if you can jump into some water and be electrocuted.
Right.
So I think that the DNR, that's the Department of Natural Resources, whom testified that they made mistakes on the day of Kile's accident. They admitted that they should have cited the guy who was on the jet ski, who was reckless for a while prior to running into Kile, and they did nothing about it. So, I mean, there's a few issues we have with how they operate that lake.
Definitely.
Indeed.
You talked a little bit about Kile's World Foundation, the foundation you started for your son. Talk to us about what inspired that.
Well, it was just the least that I could do. I couldn't think of anything that, I really want to have a monument somewhere with Kile. I wish I could carve him into Mount Rushmore. I wish I could do something so big and so magnanimous for Kile. But Kile was very artistic. He wanted to be an actor. It was his dream to be a child actor. He wanted to be on Nickelodeon. And he always said, Mom, take me to the audition. It's in Orlando. I used to say, Kile, you got to go to school. We cannot take you to the audition. But I started a performing arts camp called the Kile's World Foundation. And we started doing performing arts camps. And that takes place in the month of July, usually. This year, I did the petition instead. And I wanted to make one correction. I wrote the petition in May, and it was in my drafts. Mm-hmm. I went live on July 6th.
Okay.
So, yeah, it says May on the petition because that's when it was created.
Okay.
But I didn't go live with it until July 6th. I saved it for the day. That was the day of his accident at Lake Lanier 11 years ago. So yeah, Kile's World Foundation, we just want to help other kids that were like Kile. kids that love to perform and love to sing and love theater and love to paint. And like Kile, he made music and he burned the CDs at home at 11 years old. He has a YouTube channel. He has 3 or 4 of them. The Kile's World, the Kile Show is back, and the Kile Show and all this. So he's got all these YouTube channels. So I want other kids who endeavor to do the same type of things to have an outlet and a place to do it. And recently, Kile's World, we started doing work in Ghana. So we've done 4 football camps in Ghana, teaching American football to the Ghanaian children because they had no idea how to play football in America, in Ghana. So we're excited about expanding from just arts and adding a sports component to the foundation. Because my other son, Kyle's brother, said, well, hey, not every kid is in the arts, but we can help other kids too. I said, you know what? Let's add it on. Let's do it. So Kyle's World doing a lot of big things.
Y'all are. Tameka, let me ask you this before we switch gears. What advice would you give to mothers that are experiencing loss? Because you talked about that a little bit earlier. There are a lot of moms. A mom, I believe it was in Atlanta, Conyers, her daughter just got killed by her husband. And we just see it all the time, right? Where moms are losing their kids for whatever the reason may be. What advice would you give to moms on bouncing back, or even not just bouncing back, but starting anew after loss?
I would say you never get over it. What you do is you learn to live through it, and it just takes time. It takes time. I mean, it's been 10 years for Kile, 11 years. It still feels like, but 11 years, even though he's passed for 11 years, it feels like 3 or 4 years to me. It definitely does. Even every year we have another anniversary of him passing, and I always say, dang, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. But I'll say that just time's the only thing that'll heal somewhat of your broken heart. Your heart's going to be broken for a long time, but you'll be able to function and live through it as time goes on. Another thing I'd say is try to do things in their honor and keep their legacy alive, because they are gone too soon. It's unexpected. You're not planning. It's not like, our children were sick, like the woman in Conyers or my son. We're talking about healthy kids. It's different if a child was sick and you have time to kind of prepare yourself, like, oh, this person has cancer or some other terminal illness. This is something like abrupt. Like, you see your child, you say, hey, have fun, be safe, wear your seatbelt. You never anticipate that something tragic is going to happen to your child. So it's very touch and go. Sometimes I can talk about them just like this. I've been talking for 30 minutes nonstop, mouth almighty over here, and I can talk about them. And there's times that I can just smell something or look at something and break down and be no good for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. So it just really is touch and go. But I'll tell you what has given me more strength is doing things in his honor. Because I have the petition going, because I have Kyle's World Foundation, because I'm working on an animated show, The Odd Life of Kile Lyles, which I'm praying we can get onto television sooner than later. The Odd Life is an amazing, amazing story about a middle child who goes through, middle child issues. It's funny, it has pop culture references and style. And of course, it's got style. I have to add that. But of course, now I had to add some fashion. So yeah, like the characters are really well dressed. They've got cool little colloquialisms that they use. They're using cool terminology like mine is lit. You know what I mean? They're gonna say stuff. But it's also gonna deal with real life issues like racism and intra-racism, like the little sister is more brown skinned than the other family members, and she gets teased for being dark.
That was me when I was growing up. Mm-hmm.
I remember me. chocolate girls represent for the racism. Like, but no, but no, it's a lot of intra-racism that comes from our own people. It's not just that people always say white people are racist. I'm like, black people are racist against us.
Yeah.
So, but we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that on an elementary level and kind of make it understandable how that makes that child, his sister, feel. And he's a superhero, that's the spoiler, that he ends up having superpowers and no one knows about it. And it's a very, very cool concept. We'll deal with immigration, like how how people speak about Mexicans, how they need to go back to Mexico, and we're defending that. We're saying, hey, a lot of people came over as dreamers, and that really helped our country. Mm-hmm. So the cartoon will deal with a lot of issues, and it's going to be educational, almost like Schoolhouse Rock was back in the day. Mm-hmm. But it'll be funny, and it'll be I think it's going to be very interesting and entertaining, and I think that viewers and kids will learn a lot and will love it.
Wow. You are booked and blessed, ma'am. You have so many things going on. And like I talked about earlier, you are an author. Here I Stand in a Beautiful State, your memoir that you released in 2021. Like I said earlier, I feel like so much of what people know, the public knows about you, has been documented through your relationships or through your tragedies and whatnot. And I love that you put a lot of your personal life, like your upbringing in Oakland and your fashion and your family in your memoir, so that people can know more about who you really are. I want to talk a little bit about your ex-spouse, because in the book you talk about basically how when this relationship got out, because you were his stylist and his friend, but when the relationship went public is when you felt like the media or the public turned on you. And you say in the book, once the relationship was out, people called you manipulative, evil, and they blamed you for everything under the sun. And we're talking about, for the people that are been living under a rock, Tameka was married to Usher from 2007 to 2009 during a very public relationship and a very public divorce. What do you think the disconnect was when it came to your relationship in the media?
I think we had a lack of support from his mother. I think that played a huge role because, he's a child star. He was a child star. He's a man now, but he was a child star, and he came into the industry as a mama's boy and kind of a mama's, under mom's management and under her guidance and her tutelage. And when he got with a woman that was, 7 years older, it was just frowned upon. People just didn't like it. And I'm a brown skinned woman. That wasn't loved either. That makes a difference. I'm telling you, there is a lot of intra-racism in our community.
Talk about it to me.
Had I been light, I'm just gonna tell it. Hey, if I'd have been light bright, damn near white, I probably would have a lot less pushback. But yeah, I just don't think we were given a chance from a public persona, from a public standpoint or a media standpoint. I think they're really hard on us. And it made it hard for him. He had a career and he was like, look, I'm just trying to save my career. I don't want to lose my fans and my career through this marriage. And I think it caused a lot of internal, problems with us. But he got a song now called Good, Good. We're good. We're good. We are. We're in a good space. We're co-parenting. We got kids. The kids are good. And I'm happy for him. He's got a new relationship and a new family, and blessings to him. Bless him and everything he's got going on. And he's killing Vegas. That's amazing.
Well, I'm gonna get into Vegas real quick, but Tameka, how did y'all get to the place of being good? Like, break it down.
No, we ain't good. Oh,
okay.
The song said we good. We ain't good.
Okay.
I ain't say all that. No, we're good though. Space. I think we're better than we both know.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of an interesting. There's a bug. See, when you're in a foreign place, the bugs just start swarming around you. They're like, wait, she ain't from here. Um, no, I think we're better. I say that because my spidey senses say I think we're good.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're good. I don't know how we got. I don't know how we got good. I don't know. Which is cool because we never were really bad. It was rumored that we were bad. I think the media made it look like we were enemies and we were always at odds. But I think people wanted us to be bad because we'd see each other even when we were in a custody battle. Sometimes we would walk in the court and look at each other and just start laughing or something. Like we have a weird unspoken language that many won't understand. We're good. He's a brilliant guy, man, and he's a great father. My kids are, they're growing up. They had two different types of parents. But they're living a very good life when they're with their dad. They're with me half the time. They're with dad half the time, and they're good. Summertime, they spend most of the time with him because they were in Vegas a lot. And I mean, I'd probably want to hang out with dad too. It's fun. Dad, it's not a bad situation. Yeah, but yeah.
And speaking of Vegas, Tameka, have you been to a show?
I have. Yep.
And what did you think of the performance? What did you think?
I get it. I told you, he's a domestic terrorist. He's good. The show is phenomenal. He works really hard. He leaves everything on the stage. It's a good show. I encourage anyone who hasn't seen it to go and see it because it's just phenomenal. Not just him. I mean, it's the whole production that's really good. The dancers are good. The costume changes. Yeah, like I'm super proud of him. I'm super proud that my kids are able to see. Can you imagine like turning 40 and saying my dad did this thing? You know what I mean? I'm proud of that for them. I feel very, very proud for them to have that kind of as their legacy, to say, man, I watched my dad perform, doing these cool things, doing flips and stuff on stage. Like he's amazing. He's good and can skate. So I don't even think my boys, I was like, did you teach your sons how to skate yet? They don't really know how to skate, but
they have their mom to look at and say a legacy that she's left behind, to see a fighter, somebody who hustles and who never quits. So they can look at you also and equally say the same thing.
I don't even know that they realize. Sometimes when you're too close to the project, you don't realize or appreciate stuff. I bet I don't know that Maya Angelou's kids. Did she have kids? I don't even know. But I don't know if Maya Angelou's family realized how great she was. You know what I mean? Because they were too close to the project. Mm-hmm. They would, probably hear her poems and be like, oh, she's writing another one of those things, not realizing that this is stuff that's like our history. Like we love and we hold on her every word. And I think it's the same way. I've written 2 books. My kids, I don't think they've read either. And they're just kind of like, oh, Mom, another book. Oh, Mom, you got some boxes outside. Yeah. I got to carry these boxes. I'm like, yeah, they're my books. I just think that we don't appreciate stuff until it's posthumous. When a person, if I pass away, then they'll be like, our mother was amazing.
Right.
You better know it. You better know it. Your mama's amazing.
Yes, your mama is a legend. Okay, think about the Keke Palmer situation. Do you think, and what her like significant other said? What are your thoughts on that? Were you like?
I had no thoughts on that. Because I don't get into his business. Mm-hmm. I'm really divorced. I'm divorced. I'm really divorced. Yeah, I'm really divorced. I don't keep up with, like, I don't have an alert that comes up. I don't follow him on Instagram or social media. No, I don't follow him. He doesn't follow me. I don't pay attention to what he's doing. But I heard about it. Of course, I'm not under a rock. I heard about it. but I really didn't have any thoughts. I just know I said he's a domestic terrorist. I know what he does on stage. I know what he does, period. So I know. I just
So
know.
you're like, oh yeah, been there, done that. And speaking of you been there, do you want to get married again? Would you get married again?
I would if it's the right guy. If he comes with the right package, he can't be boring. He can't be too young, like young in terms of his mind and mindset. He can't be selfish. He has to be very God fearing. He's got to love God. He's got to love and fear God. So if he don't fear God, then what is he? He ain't gonna fear me. He ain't gonna, if he doesn't respect, the rules and respect God, then he won't respect me. And he's got to love his mother. That's very important to have a great bond with his mom. Even if she's not here anymore, he needs to have a lot of reverence for his mom.
There we have it, folks. Miss Tameka Foster Raymond. Tameka, tell the people where they can follow you and get all of the information that you have going on because you're booked and blessed. Tell the folks.
I can be found on Instagram, which is what I use mostly, and I think it's at Tameka Foster. I believe that Facebook is, I don't know if it's under Foster or Raymond, but you can order my book, Here I Stand in a Beautiful State, on TamekaRaymond.com or on Amazon. Please sign my petition for Lake Lanier. It's a cause that I very dear to my heart. It's something I am fighting village for. I hope we make some changes at the lake and save lives. It won't bring back my Kile, but it would be amazing if they could help me to save others. Yeah. Yes, I have a new podcast. Please subscribe to YouTube. Here I Stand Pod. So it's really important for you to catch it so you don't miss any of the episodes. We got some funny stuff coming up, funny guests, everything. It's going to be good. It is going to be very good, very good.
I can only imagine. I've watched a few episodes, so y'all make sure you get into it because it is good. So shout out to you, Tameka, again. And Tameka, before I let you go, I need some advice on turning 40. What advice would you give me on the 40s? What is it going to be?
I don't know. The 40s are, you got time before you really get wise. You got to turn 50 to get wise. You're going to still make dumb mistakes at 40, and it's okay. No, embrace it all. No, but you are going to start getting bored with some of the childish things. You know what I mean? At 40. Yeah. Have a very, very good time and live your best life because tomorrow is not promised.
Yes. Yes.
And do something very selfish. Travel, whatever I advise everyone to travel if you can.
Listen, I'm following after you, my big, beautiful brown sis. I'm following after you. Thank you.
Yes, travel.
Yes.
Book a flight, baby. Book a flight. I don't care if you go to Mexico or Jamaica or Sorrento, Italy. You can do whatever. Go to south of France, but try to go somewhere if you can. If you can, make it happen for yourself. Yes. Collect stamps. Yes, do it.
Tameka, this meant so much to me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Of course. And I appreciate you. Thank you for having me too.
You're welcome. Have fun on your trip.
Sign my petition.
Yes, will do. I've already signed it, but my viewers are going to make sure to sign it too. Thank you, Tameka.
Thank you.